Hey, Emma, I brought this up. I know it's a sensitive thing, and I didn't want to harp on it too much, but
Okay, you're gonna call me out.
but a lot of times around the office when we're all masked up and we got all the gear on, Emma just out of the blue will just start to deride Thanksgiving, and I just thought it's a quirk. It's weird. I don't know why she would do that, but it turns out because you're on the left.
Right.
I didn't realize that, but here is where Charlie Kirk exposes Emma for
exposes.
Yes.
You have to emphasize it like that.
Exposes, all caps. Man, Charlie Kirk, this dude is really, really taking Trump's laws hard. I think he's really trying to figure out what he's going to do in the future.
Yeah.
This is you take out the words Thanksgiving, you take out the words Charlie Kirk. This is completely lifted from Rush Limbaugh. I've listened to Rush Limbaugh for 25 years. This whole rant is, but go ahead.
The left has always hated Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving.
Hold on, just pause.
Always.
Oh, look at that t-shirt cut. That's why I wanted to back up there because
this
he's got like a deep scoop.
Can you the first prisoner that we tortured from Iraq? He's got that look. I can't remember his name now, but there were images of him in the white T-shirt, and he's got he's got that quality about him.
He seems less coked out than usual.
He seems like he's a little bit like he's had a tough time. Go ahead.
The left has always hated Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving can be interpreted as a religious holiday if you believe in giving thanks to a creator. But
Pause
they hate
for 1
Thanksgiving because
the idea that this can be interpreted as a religious holiday. I suppose you could interpret anything as a religious holiday.
I interpret this Wednesday as an Islamic holiday.
There you go.
That's what's weird about this is like there's two ways I think. It's one, it's a nice time to get together with family, and I don't think the left really has a problem with that. Another is this sort of imperial mythology that like completely like misrepresents colonial America, and I think the left has righteous issues with that. But then he goes on this third thing of like it's a religious thing, and I don't understand why he does that.
I mean, they're graduating from war on Christmas to war on Thanksgiving because we don't want to kill our grandmas with COVID.
It is a little bit. I mean, I guess you could say it's a religious holiday insofar as that
still hard to find a spot. Just easier to park. Still the big move. Just
is that Brendan? Is that your computer?
I suppose you could argue that, like, well, some of the people who celebrated it were religious. The
psychos. I mean, the Puritans were psychos.
Right.
I mean,
but I guess my point is that like there were Puritans there. There were also members, I think, of like the Pawtucket tribe and the Wampanoag. I know were part of that. This is all Massachusetts native indigenous people. I mean, I suppose you could say they were religious. I mean, they in the sense
I think
that
they would be called pagan, but
yeah,
right.
I guess. I mean, like that they gave thanks to spirits that gave them things. I mean, I guess if you want to really be broad about it.
Is that what Charlie Kirk is talking about here?
I have no idea what Charlie Kirk.
The left is always going after Native American spiritual.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he wants to protect the sanctity. He wants everybody to stop saging their homes. It's culturally insensitive.
Well, he needs to basically, this is such a reach that there has been an attack on Thanksgiving, from the left. I could say, well, the left has a problem with Columbus Day. And I don't know if it's just the left, but there is there's an issue with Columbus Day because it's sort of celebrating something that ultimately led to the slaughter of genocide in many respects.
I mean, it was pretty genocidal from its outset. So
yeah,
it's not the number one priority on leftist agenda, but we realign cultural representation and celebration to something that's more positive.
And I've been attacking Christmas, but not because of its Well, I guess explicitly because of its religious nature, but not because I'm a leftist. I mean, I just attack Christmas because where people gather. I don't like the holiday.
Right.
But to pick Thanksgiving is just a weird one. It's like, but continue.
Believe there is nothing you should be thankful for in America. This is an
pause it back. Go back. Go backwards here.
The left has always hated Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving can be interpreted as a religious holiday if you believe in giving thanks to a creator. But they hate Thanksgiving because they believe there is nothing you should be thankful for in America. This is an awful place. It is cancerous, rotten to the core. Tear it all down. Burn it from within. Why would you be thankful? Instead, we need a revolution.
Yeah, it's just 800 straw mans.
Remember, as the Students for a Democratic Society radicals once wrote in the 1960s, they said, conflict is the origin of everything. What happens when you're thankful? By definition, you're less likely to be involved and engaged in conflict.
Pause it for 1 second. Is that Matt? You studied literature, didn't you? Like, is being thankful necessarily by definition contradict the idea that you would like conflict? I mean, just even if I assume that the left today is deeply immersed in the writings of the SDS from 60 years ago. 60 years ago, I guess, 50 years ago. But let's let that slide for a moment. Is it the case that like you are definitionally against conflict if you're thankful?
No, I don't think that's definitionally the case. But I also think it's true that there's a propaganda value for, projecting that time as one of just thankfulness and everybody getting along and sharing food. And I think that's what Charlie doesn't want to get into the actual historicization of this because they know they're on weak ground when you actually get to the history of this. So that's why he's doing, I think, this metaphysical stuff about thankfulness because there are plenty of history books about what actually happened. Like Squanto, for instance. Why did Squanto know how to speak English? It's because he was enslaved and brought over to Spain for a while and then miraculously got back to New England.
I think that's called a what do you call that? An exchange program.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he did some foreign exchange.
Cultural exchange program.
And like that's all miraculously missed out in the way we mythologize Thanksgiving. I think I would love to talk to Charlie about Thanksgiving and about what I actually do am thankful for in this country because I am thankful for certain things. And one of the things is to be able to freely historicize things like Thanksgiving.
Continue. Go back just a little bit. Here we go.
In the 1960s, they said, conflict is the origin of everything. What happens when you're thankful? By definition, you're less likely to be involved and engaged in conflict.
So pause it. Wait a second. No, I'm still like, even like, he just seems to be putting together disparate. So if conflict is the origin of everything and thankfulness is the opposite of conflict, then the left believes that thankfulness is not the origin of everything.
What if, like, say I was thankful
that on the left you just don't think that thankfulness is the origin of everything?
I'm not thankful for everything, nor is thankfulness the beginning of, or end of anything, mostly.
Is he trying to say that there is a reason why he threw that religious reference in as a way of making the fact that to put into opposition the idea that you think conflict is the origin of everything, and I haven't really given that concept much thought. Yeah. I suppose to a certain extent, you could argue that even life is a function of different processes that are banging up against each other. I mean, That's the Big Bang theory, right? You don't get a bang if there isn't some type of
Well, no, that's just because God imagined the earth and it came to existence.
Well,
so
but
there's no conflict.
I wonder if he's saying that he's trying to shove in belief in God into thankfulness. And so leftists believe that conflict is the origin of everything, which he says is in direct contradiction to the idea that thankfulness which is actually just some type of like
I think you're giving this even
second
more
order.
thought than
I'm just trying to figure out.
I would just say
together.
He's just trying to say sorry, Matt, just quickly, like thankfulness, Thanksgiving gives you a warm and happy feeling. Leftists are against it. That's really what it comes down to.
He's conflating gratefulness with pacification. I mean, you can be thankful that like I threw a spear and it went right in my enemy's eye, for instance, and I can like be happy about that during Thanksgiving. But I don't think that's Charlie is like everyone's getting along and empire's marching forward. I think.
Here we go. Let's listen to the rest of this. Maybe I'm reading a little too. Maybe I'm spending too much time thinking about this.
Conflict is the origin of everything. What happens when you're thankful? By definition, you're less likely to be involved and engaged in conflict. Thanksgiving is supposed to de-escalate any sort of pre-existing issues in our country.
What?
Now they're using the virus as an excuse for you not to be thankful. We'll be right back.
I get it now. I get it.
You heard the conclusion.
I get it. Now he's saying that the virus is made up to fight Thanksgiving because that's about God. Of course.
I mean, they could have just waited a few weeks and reserved this argument for Christmas because it would have fit perfectly into the war on Christmas narrative. Now just add COVID to it.
He's just practicing.
Yeah.
He's just practicing.
It's a warm-up run.
What he's doing is the equivalent of like those war games.
Right.
And he's just warming up for the war on Christmas.
He's doing like the flight simulator for the culture wars.
Charlie Kirk, ladies and gentlemen.